In 1920, securing a post in the Indian Civil Service was the ultimate prize for a young man in British India. Subhas Chandra Bose dominated this grueling exam, securing the fourth highest score. Educated at Cambridge University, he was positioned perfectly for a life of wealth, immense social status, and political power within the British Empire. But the following year, he walked away. He resigned his prestigious commission in 1921 to throw himself entirely into the Indian freedom movement. For Bose, the choice was binary. He could either spend his career maintaining the colonial system from the inside, or he could join the effort to replace it entirely. Out on the streets of Calcutta, the independence movement was swelling with millions of supporters, yet they were playing entirely by British rules of engagement. When activists organized peaceful strikes and civil disobedience, the colonial authorities responded systematically. They rounded up the leadership and locked them in prison indefinitely. Bose spent years cycling in and out of squalid jail cells. The repeated detentions took a severe physical toll on his body, leaving him battling exhaustion and tuberculosis-like symptoms. This cycle of protest and arrest became a predictable loop. The British knew exactly how to neutralize civil disobedience, and as long as the resistance followed those established patterns, the empire felt no immediate pressure to leave. By the late 1930s, Bose had climbed to the very top of the political ladder, elected twice as the president of the Indian National Congress. But his rise put him on a direct collision course with Mahatma Gandhi over the mechanics of how independence should actually be achieved. Gandhi insisted on strict nonviolent civil disobedience. Bose argued that while political resistance was necessary, it had to be backed by the threat of armed struggle. The disagreement split the leadership. Bose broke away to form his own faction, the Forward Bloc. As World War II erupted, the British recognized his growing threat and placed him under strict house arrest. Confined to his home and watching the political process stall, Bose concluded that internal dialogue had failed. Freedom would require military backing from the outside. In early 1941, he disguised himself in traditional Pathan clothing and slipped right past British surveillance under the cover of night. This kicked off a massive, incredibly dangerous overland trek. He traveled from Calcutta, crossing the rugged terrain into Afghanistan. He pushed north through the Soviet Union, eventually reaching Axis territory in Berlin to secure military alliances. He was a stateless exile with no army and no money, using the absolute chaos of World War II to negotiate directly with global superpowers. That single journey elevated him from a domestic nuisance sitting under house arrest into a sovereign actor capable of challenging the British military on multiple fronts. In 1943, he took control of the Indian National Army, becoming its supreme commander and the head of the Provisional Government of Free India. He built his ranks by recruiting Indian prisoners of war and expatriates living across Southeast Asia, rallying them with an uncompromising promise: "Give me blood, and I will give you freedom." He structured his forces to reflect the egalitarian nation he wanted to build, enforcing strict equality across caste and religion, and establishing an active all-women's combat unit called the Rani of Jhansi Regiment. By 1944, this rogue military force had fought its way through Burma and successfully breached India's northeastern frontier, planting their flag on sovereign soil. Bose had done exactly what he set out to do. He took an abstract political debate and forged it into a fully armed, recognized rival government. The army's advance eventually stalled. Devastated by monsoon rains, severe supply shortages, and the collapsing Axis war machine, the INA was forced to retreat. Then, in August 1945, Bose reportedly boarded a military transport flight in Taiwan. The plane crashed shortly after takeoff, resulting in his death. The news triggered widespread grief across the subcontinent. To many of his supporters in that immediate moment, his life's work appeared violently cut short, his ultimate objective unfulfilled. But did his extreme gamble on armed resistance actually fail? To answer that, we have to look at how the British establishment reacted in the months immediately following the war. When the colonial government put captured INA officers on trial for treason, it triggered massive mutinies within the Royal Indian Navy and Army. The absolute loyalty of the armed forces, the foundation of British power in India, was broken. Without a native military willing to suppress its own people, holding the subcontinent became logistically and financially impossible. The timeline for British withdrawal drastically accelerated. Today, his legacy stands immortalized in bronze across the nation. His influence lives on through the national greeting, Jai Hind, and his birthday is celebrated annually as Parakram Diwas, a day of valor. Subhas Chandra Bose operated on a simple, often controversial belief that the British would never leave India because they were asked. They would only leave when they couldn't rely on their own soldiers. By the time they realized he was right, the era of colonial rule was already over.